This is such a great character for you. I know it's like your first big on-screen activity. How did this character find you?
Um, well, it came through my American representation. I was actually CC'd into the email chain, and I think initially they'd asked if there was because I read down, and I don't know if they know this, but I think they initially reached out to see if there was an opportunity to audition for Robin Hood. Um, And I've seen the email being like, well, we're pretty far down the casting process, but we've looked at his materials and think he could make a good Will. So can you do an audition for that? I mean, the first I heard of it was just getting the sides for Will. And it was one of those where you see it and you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be like for me, I love self-taping. And there's certain ones where they come in and it's like this is going to be a fun one. And it was one of them.
Is he really based in, the historical aspect so you could do a little bit of research about him? Or is this their own take on who Will Scarlet Gamewell would be?
I think less, there's some characters who are obviously very much solidified in the history. And then Robin Hood, I've done research on like where the myth comes from, things like that. And I think with Will, it's less sort of based on a historical figure and more based on origins within the Robin Hood legend. And so I think the first sort of Will character is called Willow Gamwell, as far as I could find.
Yeah.
But there's so many different iterations, and I think with something like Robin Hood that has been done a lot of times, you don't want to reach too closely to what's already been done. And it's more, that was a testament to how nice the script was and how well these characters were created because it's based on, on the history, but there's still something so fresh and new. So for me, I did a bit of research around, the history at the time, but I was mainly trying to work on what was written and focus on that and bringing that to life without letting prior performances cloud that.
Were you familiar at all with your co-stars before getting to work with them here?
I knew Sean Bean quite well, not personally, but I'm a big Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones fan. So that was really cool. And obviously, I knew Connie Nielsen mainly from Gladiator. And other than that, I don't think I knew, I realized Ryan actually, Ryan, who plays a character called Spraggart. I didn't recognize him, but he's in The Hobbit. And it took me so long, but halfway through filming, I suddenly realized that that's where I knew Ryan from. But I think it was really nice because you come in blind and like doing scenes with each other. You're not sort of, there's not too many preconceptions. So you're discovering each other in these moments and you're building your and their character relationship together um, in the roles. And it was a really sort of nice process because of that, I think. And everyone was so nice as well.
Was there something you found particularly challenging then about this character?
I think so. I think it's the subtleties and intricacies which comes with every character. But there's for me, there's the obvious playfulness, mischievous nature of Will, which I can relate to quite a lot. I was like, huh, there's funny, there's a lot of me in this character. But then there is an edge beneath that surface and a sharp wit and observation and sensitivity but an edge. And I think sort of tapping into that and bringing those two sort of sides in harmony without feeling like two different characters, but how do they meet and intertwine to create this character? That's the challenge, and that's what was, the challenge is the fun bit, right? And so that was a really enjoyable process, sort of trying to bring that all together.
It's so action-packed. Did you have to change up physicality for this role?
They didn't request it, but I did I did get a PT on board. Um, I was also like, look, I'm going to be on camera, so I may as well try and get in as best shape as possible. You do horse riding training, archery training, and all this other stuff. And so for me, there was no specific requests in that front, but I did start. I've always gone to the gym, but I did sort of take it a little bit more seriously.
Every episode is just must watch. Is there one you particularly have a fondness for, one that really you're looking forward to fans checking out?
I mean, it's interesting because I've not seen the whole show yet. Um, but I mean, that's the thing. I have seen a couple of episodes. I think for me, I'm a big fan of episode two, and that's not just because I'm in it a lot. I think I love episode two and how it's done in that it's not as much like the stereotypical Robin Hood story as the other ones, but it still plays really nicely, and there's these wonderful little narratives and tensions and character relationships which are really built and strung very nicely throughout. And I think it's just a really wonderful piece of television. It's well directed and everyone's great in it. And I really enjoyed watching that. Even and it fit, yeah, it's still it doesn't feel out of place in the series. It very much belongs, and I think it adds a lot of color to the series as a whole, which I really like.
How did you all shake off a long day of filming?
Different people had different methods. I think it depends. If you get back late, it's literally like it's so exhausting. It's in the best way though. You feel like satisfied, exhausted, but it is draining. Um, Usually for me, if I've got enough time, I like to sit in the bar and have a beer and just decompress because I feel if I go straight to my room, I'm still in it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And so it's weird. I'm just sat on my bed and I'm like, so it's nice to just go to the bar, have a beer, and just take a moment, get some food, and then yeah, I would watch films and then go to bed. If it was late, I would just go straight to bed. I'd get food and go to bed. But if I've got time, I like to have a beer after. Yeah.
Does it then take you putting in the costume to truly find this character and embody Will? Or, does your training just kick in at that point?
I think it's not like I can't do it without the costume. That's not necessarily like a thing, but I think obviously being in like the costumes are incredible, as you'll see.
Yeah,
Sets are incredible. They're so detailed and so beautiful. So I've said before that like when you're in costume and on set, it's almost harder to not be in character because you're so immersed in the world. And so it really does give you everything. But obviously, the understanding, there's a lot of work that goes into the days before you actually get there in terms of
sure.
understanding the character and the thoughts and the emotions. And what I also like is not knowing what's going to happen in the scene. That's what I've learned is that's the best way is like this conversation, we don't know what we're going to say or how we're going to say it. And so it needs to play like that. So you can't sort of rehearse lines to the death. It's more rehearse the character in the moment and then see what happens with when you're playing with your scene partner. And yeah, the costumes and the sets and everything just really, really add to immersing you in those moments.
Every episode is just incredible to see on screen. It's so fascinating. This is quite an, well played legend. And I think this is a wonderful new take on it. Have you already been getting people messaging you and telling you what a great series it started off as already?
Well, it's out on Sunday, so not really. But from the premiere, we've had a lot of, I think, especially with the cast as well, and people who haven't seen any of it, they were very pleased and pleasant, like, very happy with how it plays and being like, wow, look, we're in something really cool. And that, that's always the scripts are amazing, the actors are amazing, the sets and costumes look great. You never really, and the directors and everything, but you never know how it's going to play on screen. And
Sure.
so having that moment at the premiere and seeing it, it was really nice to be like, oh yeah, this is great and it's going to be great. So that's really exciting. And I hope everyone else enjoys it too, but I'm sure they will.
All right, well, it comes out this weekend. Are you going to be celebrating in a specific way? You're going to have some friends and family over. You're going to be able to watch yourself?
Yeah, I hate watching myself. I hate it. But I do think also it's better to hate it than love it. I think if you love watching yourself, it's a bit problematic. So like, God, I'm good. Um, but my friend Graham, who's in the show, he's having a little watch party at his. And so I'm joining. I'm not sure whether because I've seen the first two episodes. I think I'm going to watch the whole series mainly by myself first. Um, I don't know how I'll feel watching myself in a room full of people, but I'm excited. It'll be really nice. We'll have a champagne. I think people are getting dressed up, so it'll be just nice to spend time with everyone.
All right, what does it mean to you to be a part of a series that's so legendary? It's just, it's otherworldly at this point. You know, everyone knows this Robin Hood legend, and you have some incredible co-stars. What does this mean to you to be a part of this special standout series?
I mean, even to just be part of a series and have, such a cool role has been my dream since I can remember. And that is a cliche, but it's true. So that in and of itself is the most incredible thing in the world. And then the other side of that is I think the process was such an incredible and enjoyable experience. So to be a part of the project as a whole with the amazing cast and crew and set design and costume department and every single person involved, just to be a part of that in and of itself means the world. And to share it with such wonderful people. And then the fact that it's Robin Hood, is amazing. I grew up what the Disney version and the Prince of Thieves, Kevin Costner. Um, and I used to dress up as Robin Hood on my birthday and stuff like that. So, and I'd play in the woods with my brother and with my brothers, and we'd play Robin Hood. And so I think all of that, it's such an honor. I think that's the word. I feel honored and sort of can't quite believe it. But in all of those different points, they come together and it means everything. It's a real honor and a real privilege.